Hey guys, welcome back again for another DIY video. Today we're going to be changing our coolant in the FJR. Now this is also going to be a video of how to take off your fairings, something that's been requested quite a bit over the years. Frankly, it's a little bit of a pain in the butt, so I haven't done it just to make the video. I knew this was going to be coming up fairly soon, so here you go. If you ever need to take these off for any reason to get inside, this is what you're going to need to do. Now there's nothing difficult about this. It does take some time, and you do want to take your time because there are a buttload of fasteners you're going to be taking off. You want to make sure that you put them back in the right spots. Whether or not you have to put them in a bag and label them or put them on a piece of paper, whatever you want to do, make sure that you organize those well. Also, be very careful when taking off some of these panels because some of them fit together with little plastic snap tabs. We're going to be taking off the dash. These two side panels, these are easy. They come off with like 3 things. But it's everything that you have to do before that that's the pain in the butt. So there are a lot of opportunities to break those little snap tabs and scratch your panels. Just take your time. That's all there is to it. Now as far as the coolant, I'm going to say this right up front. This is not going to be a video about which coolant is the best to run. I'm not getting into any kind of brand wars. This is also not a should you flush or not kind of video. I am doing it by the book, exactly as the dealer would do it if you bring it in and pay them to do this service. The book simply says drain it and refill it. Doesn't say anything about flushing. This is not a 15-year-old vehicle where brown sludge is going to be coming out of the coolant system. This is a like new, very well maintained engine. We're at the 2-year mark. It's at its service point and the coolant looks great. It's a little low right now. It's due for a top off at the very least, but I'm at the service point to change it. That's what I'm going to do. As far as the type of coolant, the manual does not tell you you need to use Yamaha. I am, because number one, I want to guarantee that there are no problems. There's always going to be a little bit of coolant left in the block. You can't 100% drain the system because that would require the thermostat to be missing or in the open state for everything to be flushed out, and to do that you'd really need compressed air. If you choose to do any kind of flush, bear in mind there are caveats with the different methods out there. For example, if you choose to do 1 or more cycles with brand new premixed coolant or distilled water, there's going to be some, like I said, trapped in that block the next time that you do anything with the system. So even if you do a flush, say you had a 10-year-old bike, yes, of course you're going to want to flush it. Say you do that. That next time you refill it then with your good coolant, as soon as that thermostat opens, whatever is trapped in the block all of a sudden dilutes the rest of the system. So just bear that in mind. If you're going to flush, I would suggest flushing with the proper mix of coolant and water. Yes, you're going to be wasting money. Oh well, that's the way it goes. I don't suggest doing it with just water. And I'm also not going to tell you what type of water. Some people will say distilled only. Some will say demineralized only. The manual only says this about this entire procedure. Use a glycol-based coolant and one designed for aluminum engines. It says in a pinch you can use distilled water. That's it. If you want to read anything else into that statement, that's on you, but that is all it says. So, all that out of the way, let's get to it. First of all, we need to take off these side panels, and by the way, it's been a little while since I did this, but I think these are the only 3 tools we need for this entire procedure. A screwdriver, an Allen wrench, and a little 8mm socket or wrench. And this is just for the drain bolt. We need to remove, this is by the way again for a 13 and up, a Gen 3 Yamaha FJR. Gen 2 and 1, there are a lot of differences. The panels are all completely different. The reservoir's on the other side. I mean, you're going to have to find some other resources for that. But this video is going to cover 13 and up. We have 2 quick connectors. Give them a half turn to the left. Take these out. Slide these panels forward. If they've never been off, they might be a little stuck. So just put your fingers in here and gently pry them enough so they slide. They're just going to move about a 1/4 inch and then they pop off. Do the same thing with the other side. Next we have to take off the 2 headlight adjusters. There are 2 little set screws, 1 in each. The most important thing is that you make sure you have a perfect fit between your screwdriver and the screw head. If there is any slop when you put that in there, do not try to unscrew or tighten these. You will strip the heads. So give it a little pressure, and as long as you have a good fit, they will come out no problem. You can take these completely out carefully or just back them off enough so that the knob pulls straight off. Next, we have to take off the bezel that surrounds the dash. That's this whole plastic piece here. This is a little tricky because it feels like it's going to break. We have just 6 fasteners to remove, and then the thing swings up and kind of snaps as it comes apart. There are snap connectors all up top here and along the ridge. So we've got, now bear in mind, this is how my bike was delivered. I've had some people say they have Phillips screws where I have some hex screws and vice versa. Don't know what to tell you, this is the way mine was built. I've got one fastener here, one on the other side, 2 on the inside here, and then 2 quick connects that are easy to miss down in here. And all you do with these is push in the center. There's a little slider in the very center. Just push on it and it'll snap. Use a little Allen wrench, a little short side, and it'll snap, and then you can get your fingernail under the outer ridge of it and the whole thing will come out. To install them, you pull the center out, kind of like a turkey baster or a turkey thermometer thing. When it's done, slide the whole thing in and push it flush and it'll snap to lock. That's how those work, and I've got a separate video in the how-tos on how those work if you're confused. And before you laugh, yes, there were some people that had no idea how those worked and they were trying to pry the thing out and breaking stuff. It was a mess. So anyway, we got 6 of these fasteners to take off, and then we'll pop this out. Next, we have the battery access panel. We've got one fastener here and a quick connect right down there. And then this will come off. There's some light snaps along this panel here, and they'll snap free as soon as these are loose. Next, we have 2 inner panels, and these are going to be a little hard to see. It's the black triangle right in the middle of your screen that kind of mates between the fender and the outer panel. We have a mix. We've got 2 screws. You can see one of the silver ones there, and there's one just hiding in the back right in the middle of your screen. And then some quick connects. We got 2 at the top and 1 down at the bottom. So go ahead and do both of those panels and take them out. Now the trick with getting these panels off, or started at least, is to start with the very bottom edge. Just grab that little tab down there, the little part hanging down, because that's really loose once you take all the fasteners out, and just work it loose. There's a couple snap tabs and pull them out. Now this one on the left side of the bike, there's one more quick connect that's not on the other side, and that's down in here. You can see it right in the middle now. It kind of latches where the bottom of the glove box goes. So take that out, and that'll get rid of this panel. Now we can pull off the right side panel. We've got some fasteners to undo. We've got one here, one down here, one up here. We got 3 fasteners to take off this little triangle piece. There's 2 on the front that you can see, and 1 underneath. Let's see if I can get it with the camera. It's right under the tip. Now disconnect the turn signal connector, this white one right here, and then there's a little tab here. It's preventing this from coming off. You'll have to lift this just a bit to get it off. Now the last thing holding this panel on is this little guy right there in the middle. So save that one till last, and then your whole panel just comes off. Be careful with it. Obviously, you don't want to scratch it. So I would suggest putting it inside, put it on the couch, put it on a bed, lay down some towels, keep it away from everything. Murphy's Law rules here. Do not just lean this up against a wall. It will fall over. Trust me. And very similar on the left side. One fastener here, one down there, just like you were doing an oil change. One up here in the corner. Leave this one till last, and then it's going to swing out, and we'll be able to do the turn signal coupler under here. And the trick with getting the last bit of these panels separated is to pull right here. There are snap tabs right in these two sections here. So you just snap it like that, and the last one comes undone. I'm not going to do it because it's swinging and I need to catch it with two hands, and then we'll do the other electrical connector, same as the other side, and then this panel is free. We've got one quick connector right here to remove on the inside. Now all you have to do is lift the whole panel up with the glove box attached, and that inner panel will just clear this heat sink right here. And I've got it precariously perched here on my little stool, but it's all loose. All you have to do is disconnect. See, loose. All you have to do is disconnect the electrical connectors here for the glove box solenoid and the turn signal and all that good stuff. Little light down there. And that panel is free. And now we can finally see the frickin' radiator cap and the reservoir. You can see that after 2 years and 3 months or so, I'm just below the low point. That's just normal use. I've never topped it off. So it is due, certainly here in Florida, riding it hard, for at least a little more coolant at the change point. Good point of reference. Now every electrical connector is a simple push tab, except for the 12 volt accessory outlet one. There's a little tiny hole on this side, and you need a little precision screwdriver to put it in the hole and push down on a hidden tab, and then it pops right loose. Now comes the easy part. Okay, first, this shouldn't have to be mentioned, but just in case, make sure the engine is cold whenever you open a radiator cap. Not warm, not hot, cold. If you're doing a flush, that means you've got some waiting to do. Looks beautiful. Clearish blue, no gunk. Real test will be when we drain it out of the pump. Get yourself a suitable container, and of course, use proper disposal procedures. These days, any auto store is going to have free disposal of oil and coolant, so just capture it. If you're using a gallon jug, put it back in the gallon jug. Use an old milk jug, whatever. Just run it up to the store and they'll take care of it for you. This is the drain bolt, the one directly underneath. It looks different than the other bolts. It's just a normal cap bolt. We're just going to run that loose and it's going to start pouring out. And it looks perfect. No debris, no gunk, no buildup. Just due for a change. Next on the reservoir tank, we need to take off these two bolts here, undo the top cap, dump out what's in here, and just put it back dry. Once that's all done dribbling, we're going to undo the clamp on the bottom radiator hose. And once that's done dribbling, we're going to loosen the clamp on this outermost radiator hose and undo that, and a little bit is going to come out of this hose from the radiator. A word of caution: when you're bolting all this stuff together, the two bolts on the reservoir tank and the water pump bolt, hand snug only. Don't even think about putting a torque wrench on these. They are really small. They're going into aluminum. Hand snug. There's a copper gasket washer on this bolt. It's reusable, and of course nice and hand snug on this. You don't want to be cutting into the rubber. And now we fill everything up. I've got the pre-mixed Yamaha here. We're going to fill up the radiator and we're going to fill up the reservoir to the full mark. Everything's topped off. Now if you're doing this like I'm doing, you're going to need 2.5 or so quarts. So you need to buy 3 bottles. The total system, they list it as 3 quarts. However, like I said, that includes half a quart inside the block that you cannot drain. So it's 2.5 for the, not flush, but swap. Change, that's the word. If you are choosing to do a flush, all of this, including the next step, has to be repeated at each step. Okay, caps on, tanks filled up, ready to go. Now we start it up, and here's where you go have a cigar, make a sandwich, go out to lunch, whatever, because you got some waiting to do. We have to idle it completely up to temp so that thermostat opens, because now we have to burp out any air bubbles that are in the system. Then we have to let it completely cool down, open that cap again, and top it back off, and we'll be good to go. Like I said, if you're doing a flush, after that, you gotta do everything over again. Heat it back up, cool it back down, everything. So this is book spec. This is what the dealer is gonna do. If you pay them to do it, this is what Yamaha calls for. Anything else is optional extra. Feel free. So there you go. Assembly is exactly the reverse. There's nothing special. Just pay attention. I hope you bagged and marked where your fasteners go. Of course, you have this video as a reference. One thing to note is, where'd my stool go? Bear in mind there are 2 sizes of those push connectors, and they're real similar, but there are 2 different lengths. The longer ones go for the body panels, and the shorter ones go for the little accessory type holes. They're real similar, but just pay attention to them. Only about, half a centimeter in length difference overall. So don't mix those up. Other than that, pretty simple. Just a lot to keep track of. So that's it. Hope this helps somebody. Not a huge job. If I wasn't doing this video, including the wait time, you're probably talking an hour and a half. So not that big of a deal. Certainly easy enough to do yourself and save some money versus going to the dealer. All right, guys, if this video sucked, give me a thumbs down. But if you liked it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up and share it with your buddies. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.